Since it is 5:30, we are now going to move on to private members' business and the orders.
108, the Newfoundland and Labrador Fishery Rebuilding Act in the name of Mr. Cleary.
Okay. Reprise du débat.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Gaspesie, les Isles-de-la-Madelaine. The honourable member has 8 minutes remaining for his intervention. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. So I will pick up where I left off last time, about a month ago. The bill of my colleague from St. John's. I find this bill very interesting. My colleagues from the Conservative Party said that the implosion of the East Coast fishery has already been studied and that the federal government has already done everything it can to bring back fish stocks. But this is not the case. Cod and other types of fish in the Gulf of St. Lawrence are still in a very bad state. Ground fish such as flounder and cod are already in a very bad situation. The medium-term outlook is not very positive, and in fact stocks are the lowest they've been in 61 years of observation and still going down. The abundance of cod 2008 to 2010 was 37% of the average level up until the end of the 1990s, 10% of the average rate in the middle of the 1980s. Since 2009, there has been no cod fishery in the region because of a third moratorium on cod fishing in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. So how can we fix the huge problems which were caused by this catastrophe? Well, we have to begin with an inquiry, as the bill proposes. Now, this inquiry will give us scientific, economic, ecological, social, and other data. We need this data to correct our mistakes, to undo inefficient and often destructive policies, fisheries management policies which the government has imposed on fishermen.
Understand the big picture, the economic, social, political, and scientific aspects of the fisheries collapse, which is without a doubt the biggest catastrophe that Atlantic Canada has ever faced. We do know that some of the causes of the fisheries collapse, overfishing, caused by a lack of essential scientific information, needed to be understood the true health of the fish species in the Atlantic and the Gulf of the St. Lawrence ecosystems. Overfishing caused by weak international laws that allow fishers from other countries to decimate fish stocks with impunity. Climate change caused by greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, rampant urbanization, which has led to changes in water temperature and water acidification, and many other forms of human intervention that have damaged the Atlantic and the Gulf of the St. Lawrence ecosystems. When settlers first came to the coast 500 years ago, cod was so plentiful that sailors could scoop them up in their ships with buckets. And the cod fishery is one of the mainstays of the economy of the Maritimes, including the Gaspesie Peninsula, the Magdalen Islands, and it was one of the main reasons for settlement. As recently as the 40s, cod fishers were landing between 300 and 600,000 tons of cod per year. Then in the 1990s, the federal government banned cod fishing in response to the collapse of the cod fishery. By 1993, all Canadian cod fishing was banned, and today in 2011, no real solution to the devastation of the cod fishery has been proposed nor implemented. In the Gaspesie and the Magdalen Islands, the loss of the cod fishery has been devastating. Not only were cod and other ground fish the mainstay of the economy in the region, cod was also a cornerstone of Gaspesie culture, as exemplified by the tradition of cod curing, so famous to the region, cured cod, that it became known as the Gaspesie cure. Le Gaspesie cure, c'est un mode de
Cod curing is a method which is possible because of the climate in the baie des Chaleurs, creating ideal conditions to dry cod in the sun. But today, the company Gaspesie continues with its secular traditions, which have passed down over the years. The company has been very active in the field and has set up a major processing plant based on Fisheries, and Fisheries has said that the cod fishery is the backbone as the Quebec fishery, both in Gaspesie and in the Madeleine Islands. The community had developed a strong dependence on these resources, but the moratorium and the elimination of total allowable catches have severely affected the community. In 1985, in Quebec, there were about 1,700 ground fishing licenses, and at the time there were over 3,300 fishermen active in the cod fishery. At the time, the value of landings reached up to $10 million. In 2002, there were fewer than 1,000 permits for groundfish. Globally, for all of Quebec, it is estimated that the number of fishermen involved in the cod fishery at 1,500 in 2002 for landings, representing a total value of only $3 million. About half of those fishermen are in Gaspesie. The viability of the many communities along the shore which depend on the fishery is threatened today.
My riding is threatened in large part because of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans rules and regulations. Thanks to the Department's questionable conservation policies, and thanks to a foot dragging when it comes to taking real action to overfishing, the fisheries of the East Coast have been mismanaged almost to the point of annihilation. The minister said no to an inquiry into the state of the fish stocks in Newfoundland, even though federal management of the fisheries has clearly been a failure. And an inquiry into the reasons for this failure is long overdue. The minister's refusal to allow the inquiry has an impact beyond the borders of Newfoundland. This mismanagement that destroyed the Newfoundland fisheries has either destroyed or severely damaged many of the fisheries in my constituency also. When an Atlantic fishery collapses, it does not affect only one province, but it impacts all of the regions that are part of that species' habitat. The Commission of Inquiry called for by Bill C-308 would provide Canadians with a rare but crucial resource needed to rebuild the East Coast fishery. Namely, clear and accurate information based on the experience of independent scientific experts, fishers, and other stakeholders who rely on the Atlantic fisheries. I urge the government to recognize the national importance of the Atlantic fisheries and pass this bill. I also urge the government to recognize the importance of the Gulf of the St. Lawrence to all Canadians. By passing Bill C-308, the government will finally open the door to creating a sustainable Atlantic fishing economy throughout Atlantic Canada. Thank you, Mrs. Speaker.